What started with Bitcoin has definitely snowballed. Blockchain is changing rapidly how we even think about things like trust and transparency in the digital world.
See, and that's what I think is so fascinating about it, right? Because it's not just about cryptocurrency anymore. And so in this deep dive, we really want to get you up to speed on what blockchain is, what it can do. So no more getting lost in the jargon.
Yeah.
So imagine this. You find this amazing vintage jacket online, right?
Okay.
And it's like one of a kind. But you're a little wary, right? Like, is it the real deal?
Right.
This is where blockchain could actually come in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is a great example. Think about a digital record of that jacket's journey, from the original owner all the way to you. Every sale, every alteration.
Oh, wow.
Verified, impossible to fake. That's the promise of blockchain.
Wow.
It's essentially a digital ledger.
Okay.
But instead of it being controlled by one single company or government, it's distributed across a whole network of computers.
So this constantly updating shared history that everyone can see, that everyone can trust.
Yeah.
The document that you shared with us called this distributed ledger technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's where things get really interesting. But before we even get ahead of ourselves,
right.
Let's break this down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At its very core, a blockchain is a way to store information, but to do it in a secure and transparent way.
Okay.
So rather than having this central authority controlling everything, each transaction or piece of data is verified by multiple computers on the network. So think of it like a giant digital checks and balances system.
So it's like this whole team of meticulous record keepers that are hold on, is this legit before it can be officially entered?
Precisely. And once a block of these transactions is added to the chain, it's virtually impossible to tamper with.
Yeah, wow.
Because each block is linked to the one before it using something called a hash, which acts like a unique fingerprint. So to try to go back and change something in one block, you'd have to change every single block that came before it across the entire network.
Talk about a tough nut to crack.
Exactly.
No wonder people are so excited about the security aspect of this. But let's go back to the jacket.
Yep.
How would it actually work in that scenario?
Okay, so let's say every time that jacket is bought, sold, even repaired, right?
Right.
That information gets added to the blockchain.
Okay.
It creates this permanent, verifiable history of the garment.
Wow.
And here's the best part. No one can tamper with that record.
Wow.
Not even the most skilled con artist could go back and change that.
That's wild. So you're telling me no more worrying about getting tricked into buying a fake, a knockoff.
Yeah, you're guaranteed
for
to get
a real deal.
the real deal.
I'm ready to jump on this blockchain bandwagon, honestly. But it sounds like it can do way more than just fashion.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I think is so cool about the document that you sent over, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about individual items. We can think bigger. Grocery store big.
Okay.
Imagine, you're at the grocery store, you pick up, a container of strawberries.
Yeah.
Right? You scan a QR code, and you can see exactly where those strawberries were grown, who handled them along the way, even if they were shipped or stored at, the optimal temperature.
Okay, see, now that's cool because, honestly, I'm the person standing in the produce aisle sometimes, looking at a thing of grapes and being like, where have you been?
What's your story?
What's your story, little grape?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of transparency that blockchain can bring to supply chains.
Okay.
For all sorts of things, food, medicine, electronics.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, it can apply.
It seems like this could really help build trust, too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for one, it helps consumers, right? Like we were just talking about. And then two, it makes it that much harder for counterfeit goods to kind of slip through the cracks because there's this record.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of trust, our document also talks about smart contracts.
Yeah.
What is the deal with those?
So a smart contract is essentially a self-executing agreement.
Okay.
It's written in code. So picture this. You were renting an apartment, right?
Okay.
Typically, you'd have a traditional lease agreement with your landlord.
Right.
But with a smart contract on a blockchain, you could set it up so that your rent payments are automatic.
Okay.
But they only go through when you, the renter, confirms that the apartment is up to, whatever the agreed-upon standard is.
Wait, so the contract, knows whether or not the apartment is up to snuff?
Exactly.
How is that even possible?
That's where it gets really cool. This is where, the future kind of comes in.
Right.
You can have, sensors in the apartment.
Wow.
That verify things like, hey, is this place clean? Or, are the appliances working or not? And so if the conditions are met,
Yeah.
then, boom, the rent payment is automatically released to the landlord. If not, the contract is actually smart enough to trigger a process for resolving the issue.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This
Right.
is like a blockchain can just revolutionize so many things. It's not just about, me getting my cool vintage jacket.
Yeah.
It's like it's automating trust
Yes.
and making so many of these daily transactions smoother, more secure
Exactly. Precisely.
across the board.
And I think what's really cool is we're, still scratching the surface. For example, the document you sent even touches on healthcare.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine a world where your medical records are securely stored on the blockchain and you have complete control over who has access to them.
That would be huge.
Right.
No more carrying around this stack of papers, Oh, I hope this fax went through. It's
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and you could, if you had to go to the doctor, you could grant them access to your records instantly. They have your full medical history.
right, which could be life-saving, honestly.
Exactly. It could be life-saving. And again, because of blockchain security features, you never have to worry about, your sensitive information getting into the wrong hands.
Wow. I mean, talk about seeing the potential here.
Yeah.
From vintage jackets to healthcare, it really seems like this could touch every single aspect of our lives.
It really does paint a picture of, a much more trustworthy and transparent future, doesn't it? And what's really cool is we're still in those early stages.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about it. It's like we're really on the cusp of something huge, I think. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
You, listener, clearly you're interested in blockchain, right? You sent us this document to take a deep dive into what does this all actually mean for you?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about all of these amazing applications, but how can blockchain empower individuals in a way that you can really see and feel?
Okay, I like that.
So think about it this way. Blockchain puts you in control. In a world where data is king, it actually gives you the power to own and manage your information securely on your own terms.
Okay.
So whether it's your medical records that we were just talking about, or even your educational credentials, or even going back to proof of purchase for something like that vintage jacket,
Yeah.
you hold the keys.
So it's reclaiming some of the power that is so often held by these huge institutions or corporations.
Exactly. It's about shifting that balance of power, creating a more equitable playing field for everyone.
I love that. And it's not just about personal empowerment either, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like blockchain can also be used to foster innovation and create brand new opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this document even mentioned something about artists using blockchain to protect their intellectual property.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a musician or an artist, a writer,
Yeah.
they can actually use blockchain to create this permanent and tamper-proof record of their work. So it proves ownership, right? Prevents people from using it without their permission.
Wow.
And what I love about this too is it cuts out the middleman,
Right.
allows creators to directly connect with their audience, which I think is really cool.
So a musician could release a song directly to their fans online and then use blockchain to make sure that they're being fairly compensated for their work.
Exactly, precisely. It democratizes the whole process.
Wow. That is a game changer.
It is, and it lets those creators retain way more control over, what they've created, which I think is really important. And that's just one example, but the possibilities are pretty much limitless.
Yeah, it really does feel that way. This entire deep dive has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, where do we go from here? What's next for blockchain? What does the future hold?
That's the million-dollar question. And to be totally honest, I don't think anyone has a crystal ball that can tell us exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
But what we do know is that the future of blockchain really does depend on, all of us,
Yeah.
It depends on how we choose to develop this technology, how we implement it, and even how we interact with it.
She was saying it's not just about understand the tech itself.
Yeah.
It's also about having these conversations about what it could mean, what it could look like, thinking about the ethics of it all,
Exactly.
and really trying to shape how blockchain is used in a way that benefits everyone.
Yes. And I love that you say that because really this conversation, this deep dive,
Yeah.
this is just the beginning.
The jumping off point.
Exactly.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep asking tough questions, and like we were saying before, keep an open mind about all of this. And who knows, maybe you, listener, are going to be the one to come up with the next amazing use for this incredible technology.
The future is unwritten.
It is.
Yep.
And that's what's so exciting about it.
I love that.